Hi, everyone. Welcome. Here we are. Sports and Shorts of Sorts. Episode 24. Yes, I did get a haircut, right? Not bad. A little less grubby, a little more lovely, maybe. Anyway, let's hop into our Jersey episode shout outs here. And episode 24, right? When you think number 24, it's got to be Kobe Bryant. No, I mentioned him in episode 8, but Kobe Bryant basically had two Hall of Fame careers in one career. Like, you could take his stats from his number 8 days, number 24 days, boom, two Hall of Fame careers. Like, still crazy to me that he's gone. Like, I still remember that day we had a friend's potluck, and yeah, the news coming in, and it was just, yeah, it hit me weird, but yeah, it hit everybody different. But really, one of the best ever to play. He was literally like the closest thing to Michael Jordan. He emulated him, and he played like him. Like 5 championships, two MVP, 2-time Finals MVP. Sorry, he only had one MVP in the regular season, but 18-time All-Star, 15-time All NBA, and much like MJ, Kobe did it on both sides of the ball. So 12 all NBA defensive teams, 9 of them being first, 3 second. Mamba mentality is instilled in the whole younger generation, like my generation. Like, we all, yeah, there'll never be another Kobe Bryant. So may he rest in peace, Kobe. Even people, when they throw garbages, you throw stuff in the garbage, they'll be Kobe. I still say Jordan. I guess I'm a little older, but people, Kobe. But yeah, still rough. But sticking with the hardwood, I got to mention Rick Barry, true gunner, ahead of his time. People remember him for his underhanded free throws, but guy was a baller. He won Rookie of the Year. He scored like a machine for the Warriors. There was an issue with the Warriors paying him though, and like obviously he didn't take it lightly. So we jumped to the ABA where he made big money and put up big numbers. 4 ABA All-Star appearances with all NBA nods, and he returned to the NBA and lit it up, winning a title with the Warriors in '75, where he was also the MVP of the finals. His 24 is retired by the Warriors and as well as the University of Miami, the U. But a lot of current players in the NBA stopped wearing 24 to honor Kobe, but still a few rock it. Cam Thomas of the Nets, Buddy Hield of the Pacers, Pat Connaughton of the Bucks, Devin Vassell of my Spurs. Remember the last one? Vassell's gonna have a good year this year. I think with Wembanyama, everybody's gonna play better. But anyway, sticking with 24s, we'll jump to the WNBA. My favorite player, I've talked about it on this podcast, a Gunball Wale. Oh my god, she's my favorite player to watch. I can't get her name right. Before the season ends, I will nail that name. Like Giannis Antetokounmpo. See, I can do that one now. Couldn't for a bit. But anyway, Enrique, she's clutch. NCAA championship game against Michigan State, hit a fadeaway three right in the D's face to win Notre Dame's first basketball championship since 2001. Like, she's a gunner. Watch her highlights. She's something else. And Nafisa Collier with the Minnesota Lynx, she's a baller too. Like, she can put it in from anywhere. But we'll leave hoops. We'll go to baseball. One of the biggest names in the sport. Say hey kid, Willie Mays. Obviously before my time, but his numbers and stories speak for themselves. 24-time All-Star. That's insane. Only one World Series in all that time, though. It was 1954 as part of the New York Giants, back when they were a baseball team, not the football team. But they'd move out to San Francisco 4 years later. He'd win 2 NL MVPs, 12 Gold Gloves. 24 is retired by the San Francisco Giants and the New York Mets. And he's number 6 all time on home runs in MLB history. And some consider him one of the greatest to ever play, if not the greatest. Next baller, I would have mentioned him first, but Willie Mays' stats are just so crazy. I had to name him first, but in my books, this is the guy, Ken Griffey Jr. The kid. What like I didn't watch too much baseball growing up. Like, I knew about the Jays World Series and whatnot, but I knew about Ken Griffey Jr. I had his game on Super Nintendo. It was amazing going on the home run derbies. When you miss, you break the bat over your knee. It was really cool. I love that game. But yeah, he's got one of the best swings ever. never juiced. Like, that's another thing. And you could tell because his injuries that hit him didn't hit some of the other sluggers, because they had little help. But injuries did hurt him a bit. But 13 All-Star games, right? 10 Gold Gloves, 7 Silver Sluggers, MVP in '97. Like, he was taking practice swings at the World Baseball Classic earlier this year, and everybody was lining up to watch him. Like, that's how much people respect him and love him. And when he was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2016, he was almost unanimous. He was 99.3% first ballot. I don't know who didn't vote for Ken Griffey Jr. to go to the Hall of Fame. Who's that 0.7? I think we need to find out who that person is. It's got to be one person. But yeah, another guy, Ricky Henderson. Like, these are some pretty good baseball players. 10-time All-Star, 3 Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, 1990 AL MVP, won the ALCS MVP in '89. He's got 2 World Series, one with the Oakland A's, one with the Toronto Blue Jays, who I mentioned earlier. Led the AL in stolen bases 12 times. Like, that's crazy. He holds MLB records for most stolen bases, most career runs, and most stolen bases in one season, 130. That's insane. The way the game's kind of changed, we have bigger bases. They're encouraging people to steal more. That sounds kind of weird, but in baseball, it's a good thing. They're encouraging people to steal more, so those records may be in danger down the road, but there is a current player I gotta mention because he'll be in the Hall of Fame when his career ends. No question. Miguel Cabrera, right? Miggy, he's getting near the end of his career, but what a career. 12-time All-Star, 2-time AL MVP. He hit the Triple Crown in 2012. Like, 27 players have done that in MLB history. That's it. So the fact he did that is amazing. 7 Silver Sluggers, true professional, right? Winning the World Series rookie season with the Marlins. Yeah, it's pretty wild that those 4 players all wore 24. Amazing players, Hall of Fame players. Well, not Miggy yet, but you get me. He'll be in there. And yeah, going to the NFL, there are 3 players that come to mind. That's all that really came to my mind initially. Champ Bailey. Love watching Champ Bailey. Stand out in Georgia. 12 Pro Bowls. Has the NFL record for most passes defended at 203. He was with Washington and Denver. He's in the Pro and College Football Hall of Fame. Then you got, another defensive stalwart, Willie Brown, 3-time Super Bowl champion, all with the Raiders. Made 4 Pro Bowls, 5 All-Star games in the AFL. Everybody remembers the video of him intercepting Fran Tarkington with 6 minutes to go, clinched the win in the Super Bowl. He's running directly at the camera, looking like he's coming into your living room. Historic moment in the NFL and for camera work, really. And my final mention, he was recently talked about because he was just inducted into the Hall of Fame a few weeks ago. Darrelle Revis. Like, he had Revis Island locked down. People didn't want to throw to him. He made 7 Pro Bowls and won a Super Bowl with the Patriots, but yeah, some good defensive number 24 is that you probably don't want to throw the ball in here. Well, that's the Jersey segment right there. And we'll jump right into it. Women's World Cup. Pretty dramatic. We had a ridiculous semifinal with Spain and Sweden going at it. No goals till the 81st when Spain went ahead. 19-year-old superstar, who I always mess her name, Paralelu. See, did it again. Anyway, she'd go up. Just for Sweden to equalize 6 minutes later. Only then for Spain to get a late corner 3 minutes later and have Carmona put it right in the net, sending Spain to their first World Cup final. Who'd they play there? Was it Australia, the hosts? Unfortunately not for them. No, England took it to them. They got the first goal, and then a ridiculous goal by Sam Kerr, the Australian superstar. She got it around half, individual effort, outside the box, curled it top corner over that would have beat any male keeper, I'm pretty sure. It was, what a shot. And like 75,000 plus in the stadium going bonkers, and like deservedly so, but not even 10 minutes later, a miscue by the Australian defender and keeper led Lauren Hemp to just smash it in the net, and then like Sam Kerr had a chance to tie it again and just boomed it way over. And then England went down and got the dagger goal, 3-1, setting up a pretty cool final against Spain. And yeah, what a final. You had Olga Carmona in the 29th minute it was a brutal giveaway by bronze, but it led to Carmona getting the shot and putting it in the net, which she's supposed to do. And yeah, Spain was up. It was looking their way. They were looking the better team. 70th minute VAR and a handball led to Spain getting a spot kick. You're like, oh, they're going to end it here. Hermoso kept it kind of at an easy height for the keeper. Mary Epps poked it right away, keeping the English dreams alive. Well, those dreams quickly became nightmares. They had 13 minutes of stoppage time. They had chances. Spain had chances, but nothing would come of it. And Spain would hold on. Got their first Women's World Cup. Kudos to them. Like, big win. England, they were the Euro winners recently, and they were hoping to keep that train going, but Spain was the better team. And it was such a weird roller coaster day for Carmona, who scored the winner. After the game, they told her dad had just passed. So, wow, talk about, like, she scores the winner. It's the best moment of her life. And she finds out her dad's dead. Like, oh my God. Either way, congrats to Spain. What a tournament. It was great. Lots of people were tuning in. I was talking about it. I hope others tuned in because it was a great tournament. Congrats to Australia and New Zealand for hosting a great one. Fortunately, Australia, and even in the bronze game, they couldn't get third place. They lost to Sweden. Sweden won 2-0, but regardless, Australia put on a great show. Keep your heads high. They did a lot for women's footy. I'm talking about it. Hopefully you guys are talking about it. If I got to anyone, that will be good. But anyway, before I jump into more footy, I gotta talk some NBA. I know it's off season, but this whole James Harden, Daryl Morey fiasco. What the fuck? James Harden's in China, right? Promoting his Adidas marketing tour or whatever. And he goes on camera and a bunch of people and say, I'm not playing for the Sixers. Daryl Morey is a liar. Will never be a part of an organization he's part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. So yeah, that's pretty big. You don't usually go into a session and talk about your boss like that, but yeah, there's way more to this than what's meeting the eye, if you would. There's talks like Maury told Harden, if I give you less money now, we'll sign you long term, a little hush hush. And it sounds like he's just not pulling the other side of his bargain, and Harden's calling him out on it. If that's the case, this is some like weird tampering shit going on, and something the NBA is going to look into if they're not already. And like Joel Embiid's deleted a bunch of Facebook or Philadelphia shit off his social media, and like this will hurt Morey's credibility if there's any truth to this. If he's tricking stars into signing with them, like that's not going to help you recruit superstars. That's not going to help you bring more people to the team. So we'll see. Like not a lot of people are on James Harden's side usually, but they're siding with him on this if he was lied to, right? So excuse me, yeah, a little bit of Days of Our Lives this off season, but it's getting people talking, I guess. But it's gotta be rough to be a Philly fan. You were a title contender, now total disarray. So we'll see. But a quick other basketball mention: the FIBA Basketball World Cup tips off Friday. There's some amazing basketball being played. I've watched some of these exhibition highlights leading up, and Canada looks great at times. RJ Barrett looking something else, looking like his dad Rowan playing for Canada back in the day, but a lot better. And like, give me Team Canada's Kelly Olynyk every day. When he puts on the maple leaf, he just turns it up a notch. It's exciting. And the U.S. are looking pretty damn good. People are calling them out, calling them the C or D team. Excuse me. But they've been turning it up. Anthony Edwards is looking like that guy. So it's exciting to watch. Australia's been good to watch with Josh Giddey, and they're looking good. They don't have Wembanyama playing, but they got a lot of NBA dudes. There's NBA dudes all over this tournament. Check it out. It's awesome. Some good ball. Slovenia and Luka. You got Lithuania's team with Valanciunas, Sabonis. Let's watch it. But anyway, back to footy, which EPL had match week 2 going on, and there were some dandies. Forest and Sheffield United started it off, and looked like the newly promoted club are going to earn their first points of the season. But Chris Wood would give the Forest the 2-1 victory with a late goal, and then Liverpool would get a little scared going down to Bournemouth like 3 minutes into the game. But they'd get 2 first half goals by Salah and Diaz, and excuse me. They would lose Alex McAllister to a red card, but they'd get a third goal by Jota, and they'd hold on. Brighton went for four again as they took care of Wolves 4-1. Brentford went in the Craven Cottage and skunked Fulham 3-0. Tottenham hosted Man U and secured a 2-0 victory with two second half goals. Sar and then an own goal by Alessandro Martinez. Pretty brutal for Man U, but Tottenham looking good, two goals in each of their games. And Newcastle's been talking themselves up. You know, they got all these big names. They were taking on the champions, hoping to take them down a peg, but Man City went up in the 31st, Julian Alvarez, and that was really it. They took the 1-0 win over the Magpies, but tough news for Man City earlier in the week. Kevin De Bruyne, he's got a serious injury to that hamstring. It's the same one he hurt back in the Champions League final against Inter Milan, so they're saying it could be a few months. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but hamstring that area, it's a doozy. But there were some big games Sunday too. Villa smacked down on Everton 4-0. There could have probably been more goals in that game. And then my West Ham beat Chelsea. Suck on that, Todd. He's a Chelsea fan, so suck on that. Anyway, with the game tied, Chelsea had a chance to go ahead with a penalty. Enzo looked to score, but Areola had other ideas. The goalie was the tits that day, big save. So West Ham would go ahead on the 53rd with Mikel Antonio doing a massive individual effort, which we really expect him to do a bunch. But it's a great goal. Agard, who got our first goal, would pick up his second yellow in the 67th, so we'd be down a guy the rest of the game, and Chelsea had chances, but they just couldn't do it. And then their other newcomer Salcido got a handball in the box, or a foul in the box, sorry, and that led to West Ham taking the penalty, which Paqueta put away nicely. Enzo, write that down. And 3-1 victory. We'd take it. Crystal Palace is playing Arsenal probably around the time this comes out. So we'll see what happens with that game. Luton Town was scheduled to host their first ever Premier League game, but their stadium still not up to Premier League standards yet. So they were given permission to postpone it. And they'll reschedule the game. I guess you got to do what you got to do. You need the stadium to be where it is. I guess that's what happened when you're a lower tier team and you somehow make it to the Premier League in a few years. You gotta figure that shit out. Speaking of lower league teams, we'll jump into our friends Wrexham. They had a busy week. They won their first league game of the year, taking down Walsall 4-2, and then how they follow that up, but a roller coaster of emotions this weekend. They were down 4-1 at halftime to Swindon Town. They were down 5-3 going in the stoppage time. But Wrexham Hollywood Magic, right? James Jones, 92nd minute. Elliot Lee in like the 96th minute. They equalize the game. It's 5-5. They'll get the point. They probably had no business getting a point in, but good to them, right? And they lead the league in goals, 13, but they've also given up the most goals, 13. So if you want to see goals, probably go to a Wrexham game. Parkey said the team has a lot of work to do, and they'll be feeling it in training. Well, except for Ben Foster, I guess. He just announced his retirement. I don't know, giving up 5 goals might hit him a little hard, but you know, he came in out of retirement, did what he had to do, helped get the team promoted, made some big saves in the shootout when they needed him to. So, you know, good on Ben Foster. He did what he had to do. He helped the club get promoted. Now he can go back to his social media ways, right? Another podcast buddy. Well, not buddy. He's got a much more successful one, but hey, maybe he'll let me on one day. Hey, you never know. Anyway, sticking with more footy, we'll jump around Europe real quick. The Bundesliga made its return, and Harry Kane got his first goal with Bayern Munich on his debut. They crushed Werder Bremen 4-0. They didn't even really need him to score, but it was a good start for him. You know, Dortmund kept pace with the Bavarian Giants. They needed a late goal by Daniel Mahlen to beat Köln 1-0. Bayern Leverkusen edged out Leipzig 3-2 in a fun game, and if you wanted more goals, Augsburg was the place to go. They drew with Mönchengladbach 4-4, and it's good to have the German league back. It's on DAZN here in Canada, so that's all right if you have DAZN. But yeah, Serie A also returned, which is on Fubo TV. I mean, there's too many streaming things here. God damn it. But anyway, that's another argument, another day. Champions Napoli started their campaign off right. They took down Serie B champions Frosinone 3-1. And Yeah, they look like they're on their way back to what they want to do. Maybe repeat. Hasn't been done by Napoli in some time, I imagine. Inter Milan, Fiorentina, Atalanta, and Juventus all picked up wins. Shocking result in Lecce. This game was pretty wild. I was catching this one. Lazio looked like they had it in the bag. And then real late, newcomer Elmquist put it right in the corner. Boom, it's 1-1. Then 2 minutes later, Francesco scores for Lecce. 2-1. Suddenly they just stole the game. It was crazy. But that's footy. And then as of this recording, there's still two games to go down. Torino and Cagliari and Bologna and AC Milan. So we'll see how those go. But yeah, exciting. Serie A's back. Quick jump to Spain. La Liga. Barcelona didn't look like they're there yet, but they were able to get two late goals and secure the win over Cadiz. Real Madrid kept cruising. They won 3-1 over Almeria. Valencia and Villarreal both picked up 1-0 wins, and Atletico Madrid can only secure a point in the draw. And the last European stop, League One, the French League, match day 2 went down. So a lot of surprising draws, like PSG drawing 1-1 with Toulouse. Canadian Jonathan David scored in Lyon's 2-0 win over Nantes. And Monaco thrashed Strasbourg 3-0. Montpellier surprised Lyon 4-1. So yeah, some big results, but it's early. But it's good to have European footy back. I love it. It's hard to keep track on all the leagues, but there's good stuff being played all over, and I like to notice all what's going on. But that's the European stuff. A quick North American jump. Inter Miami and Nashville. Inter Miami, right? This was the league's cup final, and what does Messi do? Messi scores seventh straight match with a goal. He put the team ahead. Second half, Nashville would tie it up off of Fafa Picault, slid the ball into the net. So we'd have to go to penalties. And yeah, it was pretty wild. Went up to the keepers. Inter Miami keeper blasted it. Nashville keeper got stopped. So yeah, another win for Messi. It's his 44th trophy to his warehouse-sized trophy case, I imagine. So yeah, congrats Inter Miami. They won this neat little tournament. There's a lot wrong with this League's Cup because it's a tournament between MLS and Mexico's Prem League, and there's no games in Mexico, so they got to fix that to make it a little more even. But yeah, it's a cool little tournament. You like to see clubs play in different leagues. Always think it's cool, and we'll see what happens. The MLS return this weekend, so we'll see if Messi can continue his play into the MLS regular season, which I imagine he will. And the NFL had some big announcements this week. Cowboys reached an agreement with Zach Martin. He was holding out. He's an all-pro guard that deserves to be paid. This new deal will get him at least $18 million in each of the next 2 years. So good on him. He got his money. He got paid. Good thing he wasn't a running back. He wouldn't have got paid. Speaking of running backs that were on the Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott, he's joined the New England Patriots, $6 million deal. You know, wonder what kind of role he'll have there. If you're a Ramondre Stevenson fantasy owner, you're probably like, ugh. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Zeke looks pretty big right now, so hopefully he's in shape by the time the season starts. Dalvin Cook signed a $8.6 million deal to join the New York Jets. That's a big one. Even more weapons for Aaron Rodgers coming. But sad news in the NFL. Former Seattle Seahawks and Baltimore Ravens running back Alex Collins died at 28. Fatal motorcycle accident. 28 years old. Ugh, down in Florida. Yeah, condolences were popping up all over social media. Gone way too soon. And more random football conversation here. Michael Oher situation, right? Former Ravens lineman who had his story turned into a Hollywood movie, The Blind Side, announced that he wasn't even adopted by the family, that he was tricked into signing a conservatorship. I always mess that word up. Like, I know Britney Spears had hers with her dad. That's the only time I'd really heard of this. But yeah, they're saying this is what happened. Like less than 3 months after he turned 18, he alleges that the couple tricked him into signing a document making them conservators, which gave them legal authority to make all his business deals in his name. So he's claiming they made millions off his story, like royalties from the movie and all this. And like they're saying that he always thought he was part of the family, that he was adopted, and they're saying he was blindsided by this whole conservatorship, or damn it, I will get that word before this ends. But yeah, it's pretty big. Like, this was a huge movie. This made tons of stuff. This won Sandra Bullock an Oscar. People are calling for her Oscar. I think that's a little harsh. Regardless of the story, that shouldn't have to do with the acting job she did. But yeah, this is huge. I guess the family's hurt by it, their lawyers are saying, and they look to intend to end their conservatorship. But yeah, this whole thing kind of is brutal. We'll see what happens out of it, but not a good look for any of the parties involved, especially the family. They're because it's not a good look to be exploiting a young athlete. But he's retired now, and he said he was looking into some shit, and he was like, "Whoa, what's up here?" But yeah, last bit of football stuff. Hard Knocks. It's out on the New York Jets. It's a pretty cool show. Me and the wife watched episode 1. I recommend it. Another recommended watch. I watched this 30 for 30 Bullies for Baltimore. They go into depth on the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. Definitely recommend it. It's a good watch. Reminds you of that amazing team, but it's tough because Tony Siragusa has passed, so that makes it pretty tough. But yeah, another huge topic. This investigation's in baseball. The Wander Franco. Wow. This shit is fucked. Like, it's alleged that Wander Franco has had a relationship with a minor. Even, this is just rumored that he's had a child with this 14-year-old. Like, this is crazy. This is back in his Dominican Republic home area. And that's where a lot of the news is coming out of. So it's kind of, we don't really know for sure. He's denying this. This all came out on, like, last week during social media shit was coming out alleging it, and then he went on and made a post denying it, which he was quickly deleted. And now it seems like things are getting out of hand. He's currently on the restricted list he's been on, but by the time this podcast comes out, there's going to be an announcement rumored that he may be put to the administrative leave list by the MLB until this investigation is complete, because these are serious allegations here. And like, he just signed a huge 11-year, $182 million extension back in 2021. This is not good for anybody involved. The minor, himself, the team, everybody. This is super fucked. I don't know. He might have played his last game in the MLB. This is pretty big. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, well, Karl Malone did it." That was years ago. And I'm not saying it's right, but the media is different then. And I'm still amazed more hasn't come out of the fact that Karl Malone fathered a child with a 14-year-old years and years ago. I think he was 19, or I don't know. This shit is wild, son. Sports drama. But yeah, craziness. But we'll jump to the Jays wrap up real quick. They had a little 2-game series, I guess, with the Phillies. They took the first one, a dramatic win with Romano returning and getting a save, only to lose the second one with Bryce Harper hitting yard twice and some bad defensive plays by the Jays, which led to the Phillies getting their first win in Toronto since 2018. The Jays would head to Ohio to take on the Reds for some more interleague play. The first game came down to a walk-off home run by rookie Christian Encarnacion Strand for the Reds. So they won the first one. Second game had a little more excitement, a little more scoring. You had Ellie De La Cruz, the rookie I was robbling about earlier this year, flying around the bases. His speed is crazy. But yeah, the Jays would go up 3-0 in the fourth, only to have the Reds respond with 3 of their own in the bottom of that inning, including that De La Cruz play I was just robbling about. And then Davis Schneider would hit a solo bomb in the next inning, and that would kind of seal the game. It was going into the rubber match, who would take the series here. When Hunter Green was returning for the Reds, they were like, "Yeah, we got him back." Yeah, the Jays did not welcome him back nicely. Kiermaier and Belt would each hit 2-run home runs in the second inning. The fourth inning, you'd have home runs by Bo Bichette and Brandon Belt second. It was not a good time for Cincy. Like, the Jays won at 10-3. They're flying to Baltimore. That's right. Fuck you, Baltimore, as that old commercial said. But the Orioles have been the better bird this year. They're returning home after winning 2-3 against the Mariners, only 1-3 against the Padres, but they swept the terrible Athletics. So this is a big series for the Jays, and for the Orioles a little, but much more for the Jays. And some more drama in the AL East. The Red Sox swept the Yankees. Usually they're known for fighting at the top of the division, not the bottom. But man, the Yankees are under 500. They're in the basement in the AL. They're looking bad. Orioles lead the division still, only 3 games over the Rays, so it's still kind of tight. The AL Central is being owned by the Minnesota Twins. The AL West we got a pretty good race there. The Angels weren't up in the running like everyone was hoping for with Ohtani, but the Rangers are still holding on to the division lead. Only 2.5 game advantage over the Astros, and the Astros were just swept by the Mariners, who are now only point 0.5 behind the Astros, and 3 games behind the Rangers for the division. So the Mariners are hot right now. Mike Caliente. And speaking of the Mariners, they have the last wild card spot now. They've snuck by the Jays, and they hold that spot. The Jays are point 0.5 behind them now. And the Rays and Astros hold the other 2 spots. But yeah, it's going to be a tight race down to the end. The National League, the Braves are still braving. They're kicking ass, man. They're dominating that NL East. The NL West is a similar boat. The LA Dodgers are dodging everyone in the division as they dominate. The Central is the only close one in the NL. You got the Brewers leading, but it's 3 games on the Cubs, 4 on the Reds. So not a lot of drama in the NL. The wild cards, that's where the drama is in the NL. Phillies, Giants, Cubs hold the spots, but Diamondbacks, Reds, and Marlins are all just 1 game back of the Cubs. So the wild card race is where it's at, a real wild card. But yeah, leaving the diamond for the octagon. UFC 292 in Boston. It's pretty good fights here. Moroz, who was submitted by Silva with 1 second left in the round. It was a crazy submission though. Like Silva looked like she was literally trying to rip her head off. So I can't blame her for tapping, but 1 second to go. Oof, not saved by the bell. Mr. Belding could not help you on that one. But yeah, we had some whew, Brad Katona. I hope I got it right. I was looking at it, but I don't know if I got it right. He beat Corey Gibson in a match that could have went either way. But the man from Winnipeg held on. He did what he had to do to be the first person to win Dana White's contender there. So good on him. And Kurt Hullabaugh, he pulled off a sick choke in the other contender match. It was a pretty good submission. It looked like he had 1 submission, but he rolled out of it. He got him back in the choke and picked it up. Gregory Rodriguez picked up an impressive win. Chris Weidman returned to the octagon. Remember last we saw him with that leg injury? Oh, it was so bad. And in this match, he was getting his leg kicked and kicked. It was, Tavares, he was doing what he had to do. He kept going at the legs, and I was waiting for it to break. I was like, do I keep watching? Is his leg break? Am I a sick fuck for kind of still watching? Had me cringing on the couch. But yeah, Weidman, he stuck through the end of the match. He didn't win, lost by decision, but toughness, wow. Wow. Well, on the main card, 4 of the 5 fights went to decision. Marlon Vera, Mario Bautista, and Ian Gary all won their fights. Zhang defended her title successfully in a decision win over Amanda Lemos. And in the main event, Sugar Sean O'Malley, wow, shock Sterling. I didn't think he was going to win. I don't know why I picked against him. I'm an idiot. But yeah, that punch he had over the top to put him on the ground before he started hammer fisting, and I don't know. They might have called it a little early. I talked to some buddies about it. Sterling wasn't really defending himself though, and then I think 1 hit kind of rattled him awake again, and he turned away. But the ref had already called it. It is what it is. O'Malley won the bantamweight belt, did what he had to do. You keep hitting, and then the ref calls it, he calls it. So congrats to him winning the title. Joe Rogan was even like, was that a little too soon, calling the match? But I don't know. It's hard to say when someone's on the ground getting hit in the face so violently and not blocking. It's, wow. Good end to a pretty good card in Boston. And, yeah, last shout out I'll do to the WNBA real quick. There was the Commissioner's Cup. That was between the Liberty and the Aces, and these teams are showing they hate each other. Asia Wilson did not play very well. The Liberty crushed them 82-63, and there were some lingering feelings as the game was winding down. Usual bench warmer Jocelyn Willoughby threw up a garbage time 3 before time expired, and it went in, and this pissed the Aces off because it's the unwritten rule to dribble the ball out. If you're gonna throw one up, wait till after the buzzer. So yeah, they would meet up in a regular season game a few days later, and Yeah, the Aces were kind of pissed. It looked like they played significantly better. Asia Wilson played better. Chelsea Gray was doing her thing. She held the ball right as time was winding down. As she was holding it, she was talking shit to the Liberty. Like, this is how you're supposed to fucking do it. So, yeah, I'm hyped for the next time they play. They're the two best teams, bar none, in the league. So, it's exciting when they play. And yeah, the Liberty kept their train going. They pick up a win in Phoenix. But the Aces, they didn't handle that win over the Liberty very well. They picked up their only fourth loss of the season against the LA Sparks. The Sparks took it to them. And, you know, you thought the Aces would come back, but they just couldn't come back all the way. So, not much changing in the standings there. Aces and Liberty are still, like I said, the two teams to beat. Aces only have 4 losses in the year, Liberty 7. The Sun were in that conversation, but they dropped a few games this week. So, we'll see. A little more parity is nice. I like to see them switch it up. But, yeah, that's a wild sport week. Let's get to a wild short talk here. And for this episode short, we're jumping in the Dutch time machine and we're going back to Amsterdam. You know, I love that place. I talked about it a lot. I've gone there with Brad. We've mentioned the part of that in a short, episode 20. Going with my parents and nephew. You know, maybe that'll be in another episode. But this short is about Ren Solo. Remember, this was before pot legalization was in Canada, so it was still flabbergasting to me to walk into an establishment and buy drugs. It was wild. The one day I went into a shop, I remember the guy looked just like Dave Chappelle. And I was talking to him, and we go out talking about, you know, psychopsilocybin, mushrooms, which they happen to sell. I was like, what? You can buy mushrooms here too? So, of course, I had to buy some, right? Picked up this little, like, 15-gram container. And I was like, hey, what do you suggest taking? He's like, maybe start with 2 or 3 and go from there. And I'm like, 2 or 3. Pfft. Go big or go home, which is how I unfortunately thought with drugs growing up, which probably is why I have pains and aches certain days. But anyway, I was a youngster feeling wild. So I ate 7 grams. He suggested 2 or 3. I ate 7. Why not? And, you know, it wasn't very tasty. Anyone that's eaten mushrooms knows what's up. I got her down the hostel, went to explore a bit. What the fuck was I thinking? Oh my god. Amsterdam is a beautiful city, but it's also pretty trippy and can be sketchy. So walking around the red light district was wild because, you know, if you've never been, there's windows with women in them and they have like red lights around the window, straight up like it says, I guess. And they're all like calling you towards it. I was just tripping trying to like keep balance and walk straight, like giggling here and there. And it's still pretty hazy, like just the whole walking around. But I do remember this one guy. He approached me. I don't remember what he said or anything, but like he just kind of like started going around to where my pockets were. And like I couldn't verbally communicate. And I was just like, uh, and thinking back to like another situation, again, episode 20, where there was a prostitute trying to get my wallet, I believe. And I believe that's what this guy was trying to do, but I didn't know what to do. So I just started screaming, like at the top of my lungs, shrieking, like I just saw a damn pirate ghost. Or ghost pirate, whichever. But I was screaming, like right in his face. So he fucking turned around and ran. I turned around and fucking booked it. And like, what the hell kind of scene is that? I still wonder if there was anyone like just chilling, drinking their coffee and watching this and like, what the fuck did I just watch, you know? Because, yeah, it was unreal. Like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to defend myself. So I did the old banshee scream and run like a banshee, I guess. But yeah, it worked out. I ended up getting back to my hostel eventually and like kind of chilled out, watched some Dutch TV. MTV was always good because it was, you know, it had English with Dutch subtitles. But yeah, Dutch TV on mushrooms is pretty trippy too. So I don't know. I guess a lesson is if you're going to do a psychedelic adventure, maybe listen to the person you're buying the psychedelics from. Or even do it in a tandem. Have a person with you, a companion, maybe even I don't know, a therapy dog might be safer than venturing into Amsterdam alone. But Ren Solo did what Ren Solo did, right? But that's today's short. But it was a sick week and got some golfing in at Purdue Oasis Golf Course. So I'm going to shout them out. Thanks for coming out, Kyle and Joel. That was a fun round. And yeah, summer's dwindling down. Get out there, get some summer adventures in before they become winter adventures. But anyway, thanks for coming along, guys. Ren City out.